Hello, welcome to the channel and my first video. I'm a bit of a spreadsheet addict, hence the channel name. I'm also a fan of politics. Whenever I get a chance, I do like to bring the two together for a bit of research, messing around with the spreadsheets and helping inform my political ideas and any debates. Very soon, in the next few days, there'll be an important election going on. And that is the one taking place in Wales, my home country. Wales, whilst everyone else was thinking that their flag was just going to be using stripes and crosses and ending it there, Wales decided screw it and slapped on a great big dragon too, making it what I think is the best flag in the world. I'm very proud of my home country, rich in culture, beautiful countrysides, unrivaling the Germans on the ability to turn sentences into single words. The Irish being so impressed, they took a Welshman as their patron saint, whilst the English dragged over Stonehenge. What I want to go through today is how votes get counted and seats allocated for the Welsh Parliament or the Senedd elections, which might seem complicated at first by the fact that citizens get 2 votes, but hopefully clear by the end of this video. For comparison, the Welsh Assembly is made of 60 representatives, whilst the House of Commons, the main legislative body for the whole of the United Kingdom, is made of 650, 40 of which come from Wales. Now personally, I'm not a big fan of the House of Commons for many reasons, but one of them is to do with how the elections are carried out and the seats appointed. For 40 of the Senedd seats and for all the common seats, first past the post is used. For those that don't know, the methodology of first past the post is very simple. For each constituency or seat, those competing for it get selected based on simple plurality, i.e., who gets the most votes compared to the others. For example, let's say there was a seat with 3 people standing, A, B and C. Candidate A gets 35%, whilst B and C get less than that, making A the winner. And this is where my major issue with the system comes in, because this means the majority now do not have a representative. And this is the issue for many constituencies in the UK. Some people may say, well, if you're a Labour supporter in a Conservative seat, you still have Labour members there. However, you are then arguing for a system that ultimately does not exist. For general elections, and for one of the Senedd votes, you're voting for a specific person, not a party. And for the House of Commons, more than 45% of the people who voted are not represented at all. And keep in mind that not all MPs are equal. The current Johnson-led government is made up of Conservative MPs, who in turn control more than half the House, meaning there is no real reason for Conservative government members to take much notice of other MPs and who they represent. And there are plenty of videos online showing this disregard by the Conservative government. One of the nicer examples is Rees-Mogg referring to Welsh as a foreign language. Additionally, the government doesn't even need to listen to all of its own MPs. Assuming every member of the House voted, you would need 326 members to pass a bill. Now in reality this number is actually a lot less, due to winners who didn't take their seats, or people who don't vote, or just general abstaining. But let's say all 650 voted. This means if you take the Conservative MPs who had the least support in their constituencies, and they were the ones who wanted the law, and every unnecessary Conservative MP just rebelled and sided with the opposition, bills could still be passed by MPs who collectively represent less than 30% of the public who voted. And these numbers get even worse if you take into account not everyone can vote, and not everyone who can vote did. One legitimate reason may be that they were dissatisfied that their vote would not count. And this raises the question, is this system really democratic? I don't believe democracy is defined only by the rule of the majority, but it certainly shouldn't be ruled by minority. Now for the Senedd. Based on the idea of representation of the voting population, I do consider it way more democratic, and why I absolutely oppose abolishing the Senedd. For the Senedd, unlike the House of Commons, the seats come from two sources, representing the citizens' 2 votes. 40 come from the constituencies that also match with the ones used for the House of Commons. In 2016, candidates who are supported by Labour make up 27 of those local seats, Conservative 6, Plaid 6, Liberal Democrats 1. From this alone, you would still have the issue of a lot of people not being represented. But this is where the beauty of the Sennedd's extra 20 seats comes into play. See, Wales is also split into 5 separate regions, each returning 4 members, effectively giving each citizen 4 chances of an additional representative, if they did not have a local one to begin with. The seats based on these second regional votes are allocated using what is called the D'Hondt method of proportional representation. Using a simple example without any local representatives, just regional, with 4 parties, red, green, blue and pink, and 25 citizens voting. Red get the most, so get the first seat available. For the second count, what you need to do is divide the votes by 1 plus the number of seats already won. For green, blue and pink, they don't have any seats yet, so their numbers are not going to be changed. However, the red party already has 1 seat, so their vote count gets divided by 2, giving them the equivalent of 6 votes for the second seat. This means Greens have the majority and obtain the second seat, and then for the third count, Greens get their vote count divided by 2. This gives red another seat, as even after dividing by 2, they still have the highest value. For the fourth count now, the red party is going to get its 12 votes divided by 3, as they have 2 seats now, giving the 4th seat to the blue party. Applying this now to a real region, I'm going to use South Wales Central as the example. Within South Wales Central, there are 8 constituencies, and in 2016, the constituency votes returned 7 Labour members of the Senedd and 1 Plaid, each based on simple majority in each constituency. This is where we now use the second vote. For the regional vote, just over a third of the people still voted Labour, a fifth Plaid, etc. Now Wales uses what's called the additional member system, meaning the D'Hondt method kicks in with the local representatives already in the calculation. So for the first seat, Labour's share of the vote gets divided by 1, plus the 7 that they have from the 7 seats. Whilst Plaid's 20% are getting divided by 2, as they already have 1 seat. The others are unchanged, as they currently have no seats. The first seat then gets appointed to the Conservatives' top candidate, as they have a majority for this count. For the second count, the Conservatives are getting their vote divided up now, meaning UKIP now has 1, and for the third count, UKIPs are going to get divided by 2, meaning the third seat goes to Plaid. For the fourth and final count, Plaid are getting their vote share divided by 3, as they now have 2 seats. giving the Conservatives the 4th seat. Sadly, this does mean that there is still a proportion of the population without any representation. In the case of 2016, we are talking about 13%. Certainly a lot better than nearly half. You may notice, if you look at the current composition of the South Wales Central Senedd seats, two do not match up, as Gareth Bennett and Neil McAvoy ended up becoming independent before joining new parties. This does then bring in the debate of whether members elected by these regional party lists, if they leave their party, should they be allowed to retain their seats? That'll be a debate for another time. Sticking with the 2016 elections, this is how the Senedd ended up turning out, with Labour getting a lot of local support, meaning that they only gained 2 regional seats. Conservative and Plaid end up with a healthy mix of the two. Liberal Democrats only really supported in one local constituency, not regionally. UKIP not getting any constituency seats, but still having a lot of support regionally. And for the whole of Wales then, you end up with 13% of the voting population not having supported any member sitting in the Senedd. There's a few ways you could work out the rest. I'm just going to stick with the votes that counted towards representatives, giving Labour 30% of the voting population's support. And even then, they've only got 30 seats, so they do not have an absolute majority. So they do need to coordinate with other members in order to pass bills, meaning that they have to respect the wishes of an even greater proportion of the population. What I want to do now is leave you with this question. Is it better to have representatives be less local so that more people can actually have a representative in, for example, legislative bodies? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have and want to see more like this, please click the like button and subscribe. A big thank you for watching.